Today I'm going to be bar fretting this guitar. It's a 1926-028. I retopped, made a new fretboard. So I'm going to show you the process of bar fretting, and I want to thank Elderly Brothers for their fine video on YouTube. They definitely have some good information also. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the fretboard, and that means I'm going to true it up so it's dead flat. Then I will show you how I size the bar frets so I know how to make them compression fret this neck. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do now is I have my fretboard marked, and I just use some white pencil mark. I'm going to use 16-inch radius blocks. I'm going to use short ones and a long one, and I have a straight one, a straight aluminum bar. I get mine from Best Parts, Philadelphia Luthiers. They have them at a very affordable price, and they're extruded aluminum. They're very reliable. So now what I'm going to do is take 120 grit, and I'm going to just start flattening this process up, and I'll show you as I go through. You'll see how this will transition into a straight piece of wood. Okay, with my weights on here, I don't know if you can see the light that's coming through there, just barely. So with my approximate 12 pounds of weight, I can put a piece of paper and it just barely fits here, all right? So my neck is reasonably stiff with the weights. So now that I know how stiff my neck is, as I go to fret this, I'm going to know how to work my frets to allow for the compensation of the compression fretting. Okay, so now I'm starting the process of doing the fretting. These slots, I had to make this fretboard, so they're all at about 47 thousandths. And you can see that there is a curve in the fret wire. And when I set this into the fret slot, it's higher than I need it to be. What I will do is I will sand this part flat, and that will create a barb, so when I seat it into here, that will work. And I'll put this onto my disc sander, hold it flat, and I will grind it, and you'll see that in a minute. Okay, to give you an idea what I'm doing, I use this little sander, and then I can put my fret wire against that sanding wheel. Okay, and then that puts a flat edge on. You can see a little gap in the middle, but I'm grinding this down just ever so slightly, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there, you can see the barb that is formed from the grinding process. Okay, I'm going to work a number of frets. I put my first fret in. The fingerboard extension is not like up here, so we don't have a lot of compression work. And I generally will put just a drop of glue on the ends, just like my other fretting, just in order to close up any gaps on the end of the fretboard. So I'm going to prep a number of frets to get started. These are not really, I won't say they're not critical, but this is a very simple process. Make them fit, they go in. Up here is where we're going to be doing more of the compression fretting, and we'll get that set up for you shortly. Okay, I got two in here now. I want to explain to you, I have a number of different bar fret wires ranging from 0.045 to up to 0.060. When you go to set these bar frets into the slot, there's a couple of ways that you can make them fit tight. One of them is you kind of put a little V on the bottom, so as it goes in, it's wedged and it gets tighter. Some of them, you might need the whole thing tight. It's all about making this neck move. So the way that I control that, along with using the sander like I showed you, is you can use sandpaper on a long block like this. You can use a little oil stone. Anything that you can find to work. Okay, as I'm setting these frets, what's important to know is, I don't know if you can see this very well, but as this goes in, it gets tighter on the slot. which is perfect. When you put them in, they should not be, it shouldn't be loose. They shouldn't be so tight that they're actually, you don't want to be beating them in. You want to be tapping them in like this. And that's how I put them in. One more thing we need to be aware of when you're trying to set your bar frets. All right, you have to be careful of the curvature of the bar fret itself. You don't want it overbent. You don't want it underbent. So you want this in here so that you can see that we close up nice at the slot on both sides. Now, yes, I grind a flat on mine, but sometimes you're going to need to put a little bit of a curve, and you can peen that over by holding it against something small and then just gently tapping it with a hammer to put a little bit more curve in there. The one thing that I will tell you is the height of the frets when we're done and we get into the leveling is, I would say 60 thousandths is too high. So you want to be somewhere between 45 and 50 thousandths above the fretboard. I think that makes a decent feel for a bar fret job. Okay, I'm getting near the end of the process. You can see I only have 5 more frets to put in. So I am using the weight, and with the weight, which is approximately between 11 and 13 pounds on the shoulder with the headstock supported, I'm looking at getting this straight as far as the frets are concerned. Now granted, they're a little wobbly because of the different bar fret heights, but when I'm all done and everything's in, I'm getting a feel for how my neck is moving, and that's the key. So once I get all the frets in, I will let all of the glue set up that I used, and tomorrow I'm going to level the frets. But I will manipulate the weight in order to set my neck relief. So if I know that my neck is going to come back about 10 thousandths, I'm going to take half of the weight, and that should give me about 4 to 5 thousandths neck relief at the 5th or 6th fret when fretted on 1 and 12. So you'll see that tomorrow. Okay, here's something you need to be aware of. So when you're working bar frets, and I hope, oops, I'm sorry. When you're working bar frets, the radius of the bar fret to the fretboard is critical. So you can see how this is rocking. All right, so for me to get that to fit, I'm just going to use something that I can bump against like this. And then I'll tap it and you'll see what it will look like when I'm done hammering. Now, I just put that against that little piece of brass and tapped it. Now, you'll see the radius matches the fretboard much better. You see that? So you have to pay attention to the radius of the bar fret wire, that it matches the radius of the fretboard so that it seats into the slots better. So I hope that gives you enough information on trying a bar fret job. I'm almost done, and there'll be more tomorrow. Okay, I'm finishing up this bar fret job, and what makes this different from a T, so here's your T bars, your T frets, and they have a thinner slot of about 23 thousandths. You'll see that the tang will vary from 18.5 thousandths to 25, and the crown can be a number of different figures. Martin happens to use 43 thousandths high, 80 wide. Bar frets are different. They have a much wider slot, usually between 47 thousandths to 58 thousandths. And the bar fret itself will run anywhere from 45 thousandths to 60 thousandths. So that is how you manipulate the neck in order to create your neck relief. So all I'm going to do next now is I'm going to flush off the frets. I'm going to dress the ends and level the fretboard, and I'll be showing more of that as we go along.